Hello. Good afternoon, Internet. Welcome. Welcome to another NL Math Man Math Help stream. If you're, he's getting a look at my coffee mug there. There we go. Look at, look at this. Look at this sort of technology that we got, huh? What's going on? How's, uh, how's Peter inside the picture? What is even happening here? Well, look at this. We're new and improved. We're new and improved. We're live. We're doing it live. Who needs you know, who needs to test this stuff out beforehand, right? We don't need to run a test stream or anything like that. We'll just do it on the fly. So, up here in the corner, or rather here in the center, got a nice picture of me, back of me in gross morn. There we go. That was a few years ago, but I look I look exactly the same, right? No difference whatsoever. Obviously, right? Yeah. Um, Look at this. Woo. Oh no. We getting some fuzzing. We getting some fuzzing when I lean back. Do it again. Ooh, ooh, you. All right. I mean, it's all still a little bit, work in progress here. You know, it is still social distancing, of course, and we do still have to make do with the materials that are at hand. But those materials allow me to let's supposed to see this. Let's do this. Whoa! Oh my God, it's cold. It's cold. It's really cold all of a sudden. It's very, very cold here. Oh, okay, good. Okay, now it's nice and warm. It's warmed up a bit. Oh, it's back to being cold again. All right, let's go back to my intro. Here we go. So anyway, just here playing with my scenes, you know. Up here now. Yeah, this is just remembering. This was a few years ago at a hike in Grossmore. And this was the same day that I went and did. Well, my father and I went and did Green Gardens Trail, and that's a little warm up hike that we did beforehand. It's overlooking. Can't remember the name of the town there now. Oh, good afternoon, Esther. How are you doing? Welcome back for another week of school. I suppose. I hope the Easter holiday was good for you. Right. After rambling a little bit here, taking another sip of my. Today we get coffee. Oh, yes, yeah. The break was nice. Yeah, it's a bit different than normal. That's for sure. Just over here testing out my. Let's see here. Let me just go back over this one. Oh, yeah. See, that'd be nice. It'd be nice if it was like this still, right? Get out to the cabin, take a skidoo out there. Boy, that'd be fun. Though can't really do distance teaching from the cabin very well. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to get into some of the work that we're doing today. I'm going to switch back over to this view here. Okay, so I've got a lot of topics to get through today. Quite a few. I've had students from other campuses ask about some topics as well. My basic rule is going to be for the order of these, I'm going to get to them. Like if you're in chat, I will get to your stuff sooner. So Esther, I guess I will. Let's see. You wanted 3102A, assignment 2, questions 4 and 5. So I guess I will get to those first. That'll be the percentiles ones down here. All right. So let's start off with that there. Let's get this picture of myself out of here. There we go. And switch on back over now. This is Math 3102A. Here we go. These are they. These are they. All right. So, stream starts soon. Well, stream has started. Oh no. I'm spilling. I'm spilling out of my area. Look, I'm got whoa. Whoa. Okay. So this is going to be Math 3102A, Unit Maybe this is unit 2. Either way, we're going to start off with these guys here. So I'm going to do numbers 4, and I'm going to do numbers 4 and 5. All right. Let's say yeah, I'll just do them in order. Sure, why not? Number 4. Number 4 tells us that Angela worked the following number of hours per week at her summer job. The mean was 35. How many hours did Angela work during the 5th week? So Esther, I saw that what you were doing there when you were doing these ones, it was mostly correct, right? It's just the only thing I'm concerned about is the working that you're showing there. The algebra sort of, not all the steps were there, I'll say. So I would like to see all of these steps when you're doing it out yourself, right? But we know that this is how we started off, right? Because we know that the mean, right? The mean number of days she worked was 35. Well, what is the mean? Well, if I put that over here, right, we know that the mean is always the sum of the numbers divided by the number of numbers, right? So in this case, we know that the sum of the numbers divided by the number of numbers has got to be 35, right? This is just a little aside here. Might have turned down the color saturation too much in this one. I'm not seeing the green versus blacks as well in this on the document window. Maybe I'll have to change the colors a little bit after. So now though, over here, but we know that this is what we've got because we're told that the sum of all the 5, right, divided by 5 is going to equal 35 because that's what the mean is. Now we just have to solve for the n. All right, so there's several things that we can do first. First, we can simplify, right, which of course is just going to be adding together these 4 guys here. So we've got, say, 38 plus 30 plus 36 plus 34. That's going to be 138. So we'll have 138 plus n, still divided by 5, equals 35. Right? Because here I'm not skipping any steps or anything like that. I'm just simplifying what this is over here. Right, so next up then, I'm going to get rid of this divide by 5. To do that, I'm going to multiply by 5 over here. So this is what's really happening. I'm going to multiply this one by 5. Because what I'm really doing is I'm multiplying both sides by 5. Right? Then that 5 cancels with that one, and this one over here becomes 35 times 5, which is 175. So what I should have is 138 plus n equals 175. Right? And now I have to get rid of this 138 because we need to get n by itself. So to get rid of the 138, I'm going to be subtracting from both sides. Right? N equals 175 minus 138. I'll just write it over here. We can imagine like it was moving over. And then, as we know, we're going to get n equals 37. Okay? I know, Esther, that this might seem very similar to what you had down, but these individual steps in the middle here looked kind of backwards the way you were doing it. And I wasn't quite sure from how it was written how you were able to get down to this number. But I'm just looking for all the algebra steps, basically, to be in order. Because just to explain sort of where your marks are coming from, say this was worth 3 marks, you would get 1 mark for knowing how to set up this thing at the start, another mark for being able to do the algebra correctly, and another mark for getting the right answer in the end. Right? So, for example, the answer you gave, even though it was the right answer, you would still get 2 out of 3 for it. Right? Because the algebra in the middle was a little bit off. Right? But that's just all the different pieces that I'm looking for in order to give you full marks on a question like that. So down then for question 5, you see, there's barely any difference now, is there, between the blue and the black? I'll have to turn up my color saturation again. So down here now, the 25th and the 75th percentile, the way that say your tutor or whoever it was showed you how to do that one, Esther, it's a fine method for when you have a really, really, really large group of numbers and you want to get sort of an approximate. But the way we're doing it, the way we're taught in this course to do it, is to take the median of the upper half or the median of the lower half of numbers. So we'll say the 20, so I'll start in on this as part B, because I think part A you knew pretty well. Part B, the 25th percentile is the median of the lower half of the numbers. All right, so the median of the lower half of the numbers. Well, how are we going to find what the median of the lower half is? Well, first up, we're going to have to get the numbers, right? We're going to have to put the numbers down in order. So those are going to be, let's see, we've got 20, 25, 31, 32, another 32, 33, let's see, a 33, a 39, a 41. That's the same number of numbers. Oh, the 8 other dancers. Oh, I see. Okay. There was also a 36. That might have been an issue here as well. The question is sneakily written because it looks like, if I bring my cursor over here to the window, it looks like we just had to deal with those numbers, right? Just the 30, the 20, the 39, the 32, and such like that. But from reading the question, we see that Glenn scored a 36. That's what's right here. So that means we have 9 numbers in total. So we have to count Glenn's 36. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. Well, what's the median here? Right? So we know that the median is going to be n plus 1 over 2, which is 9 plus 1 over 2, which is the fifth number. Right? So the median is going to be this 32 right here. Right? So since the median is that 32, to find the 25th percentile, we're going to just take this one, this one, this one, and this one. Right? Right? So the 25th percentile then, we're going to be getting the median. It's going to be 20, 25, 31, and 32. And it's going to be the median of those numbers. Now, Renetta, if you're watching there now as well, this is a good one for you to pick up on because I'm going to get on to talking about median in yours and your questions there now in a bit. But the median here is going to be the number that's in between these two. Well, how do we know that? Well, if we go back to our n plus 1 over 2 thing again, where n's the number of numbers, right? We're going to have 4 plus 1 over 2, which is going to be 2.5. So, if the median number is 0.5, that means, hold on a second. So if the median is a 0.5, that means you need to average 2 numbers, right? Because what we're doing is we're averaging the second number and the third number. So here, the second number is 25, the third number is 31. So we're going to have 25 plus 31 over 2, which is going to be 56, right? Yeah, 56 over 2, which is going to be 28. Right? So that way, we know that now we have the 25th percentile is going to be this number here that would be right in between 25 and 31. Just like the 50th percentile, which is otherwise known as the median, it's totally fine for the 25th percentile to be a number that's not in your list anywhere. Right? The same sort of thing happens then with question C. Right? So C down here, I'm going to do that. Slide this up a little so you can see a bit better. So C is the 75th percentile. So then we're looking at the numbers 33, 36, 39, and 41, right? Because we're looking at the upper half of the numbers, which are just these four up here. So now we're going to go ahead. Well, the two middle ones here, right, are obviously 36 and 39. So it's going to be 36 plus 39 divided by 2, which is going to be 75 divided by 2, right? So which is going to be 37.5. So again, even though this 37.5 is not in the list anywhere, it would still be what we would consider to be the 75th percentile of these numbers, right? And that's the way in this course that we will be finding 25th and 75th percentiles. Okay, so it's like we're taking the median, but of a small group of the numbers. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of, aha, look at that. Oh, let me see if that happens again. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, okay. That's trippy. I mean, the green screen that I've got is, I mean, it's not even it's not even green, but you know, we're doing what we can with what we got, right? This is how it works. So, Esther, I hope those helped you out there. But that is the way that we will be finding these guys and then the 25th and 75th percentiles. I believe everything else on the sheet that you sent in was correct. So, yeah, I will send you the review sheet then today after the stream is over. So, along with the notes from today, I'll send you off the review sheet that you asked for. Next, I know I had a student from the Kenmount campus who was asking me some questions before break. Stephen, if you're there in chat or if you're watching, just let me know and I will get to your questions. For now, though, let me see. Oh, do I need to show that one on camera? Cross that off. I'm going to skip over there now to do the questions that, let's see, Carly had some. So let me go see what those are. Prism Math. Here we go. There we are. Zoom in a little. Okay. So this is now Prism Math Blue. So in questions 4 or 5 redone to me. Well, I did just kind of go through them, didn't I? So, I mean, you could just send me the exact thing. Nah, don't worry about that. I'll send you the review sheet as soon as I'm done here. But that might not be for a little while yet because I got quite a few topics to get to today. So give me, I don't know, 2 hours or so. But this is Prism Math Blue. And this is page, what is this? Page 124. Now, Carly, if you're watching, these are ones that that I saw when I was going through your notes and that I thought would make a good teachable moment to go over with you. So let's see. 24, questions 3 and questions 5. Okay. So question 3 said, Mr. Gallagher is buying a car that sells for $14,000. He got $4,900 for the trade-in on his present car. What percent of the price of the new car was he allowed for his present car? Okay, so each of these are kind of like okay. Esther, you say you want to do your test Thursday? Yeah, that's totally fine. So Mr. Gallagher, his car sells for 14,000. He got 9,000 for a trade-in on his present car. And what percent the price of the new car was he allowed for his present car? Now, I really like these types of questions as illustrations of this course because taking sort of a situation and turning it into math symbols instead of English language is one of the main purposes of this unit. Okay, so we know that 4,900, we want to find what percent, 4,900 is some percent of 14,000 is what we're trying to find out, right? So we know for question 3 then that what we're looking for is 4,900 is some percent of 14,000, right? Because this is, and this is percent, and this is of, right? Percent literally means out of 100 or divide by 100. Is an equal sign, right? We know the rest of those. So now I can go through and figure them out. And Carly, yeah, the working that you did going through and doing these out was really good. I gotta say you're getting a good grasp of the algebra for sure. Just wanted to do a few examples from these that might be a little trickier. So now there's plenty of different ways to do this, but I'm going to divide by this 100 because what I'm going to have now is 4,900 equals 14,000x over 100, right? Because I can just multiply those ones there. Now there's plenty of different ways to do the working, but the reason I'm doing this is because then I can cancel out those guys, right? And I can be left with 4,900 equals 140x. And now we're trying to get x by itself. So in order to get x by itself, we're going to have to divide by this 140. We'll have 4,900 divided by 140 equals x. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Break out my old pal over here. 4,900 divided by 140, 35. So we know that Mr. Gallagher got 35% of his new car as trade-in for his old car. Okay, I'm going to bounce down now next and do question, let's see, what did I have next on the list? Question 5 on the same page, okay? Question 5. Yeah, the color is not, I gotta tweak that color saturation after. My blues and my blacks, look at this. This is blue and this is black, but it's not coming out a whole lot different, is it? I need those colors. Colors are important to me, right? The way I do my math. I mean, look at this sunset behind me, right? Boy, that's pretty colorful, isn't it? That's literally where I am right now. You know that, Twitch chat? I am. I'm actually in front of a lake right now. You hear the wind and the ducks? You hear them? No? Well, it's just because the mic is not picking them up, obviously. They're out there. They're back behind me here. But for now, for question 5, I gotta scroll down over here a little bit. So Andy and Diane want to buy a used van. It's a good rhyme. They got $5,500 for the trade-in on their present car. They also made a down payment of $2,300. They still owe 40%. What is the price of the van? Now this one has one little tricky flip. It looks, at a glance you might say, oh, well then 5,500 is 40% of the van's cost, right? But it's not because they still have, right? So I'll write this down. If they still owe 40%, then the trade-in must represent 100% minus 40% equals 60% of the cost. Right? So this one has one little twist that isn't there on the other ones, and it's that you actually have to subtract from 100 first, right? So there's always a little bit of lateral thinking going on in these word problems, and that's teachers love that stuff. We'll just throw that at students every chance we get. Okay, so and we have 5,500, and a 2,300 trade-in. So in total, that's going to be 7,800. So we know that there's 7,800 they've paid so far. The 7,800 equals 60% of the cost. Right? So what we're saying then, instead of 7,800 is 60% of the cost. That's basically what that represents, right? So now that we know that, we can go ahead and figure it all out. So we'll have 7,800 equals 60x over 100. We could call that equals 6 over 10. We can reduce this down a bit to make the fractions easier, right? But I'm just going to go ahead and cross multiply right away. So I'll call this 78,000 equals 60x, right? So it's 780,000 equals 60x. So we'll have the 780,000 over 60 equals x. I'm going to do that one in my head. 78,000 over 60, 13,000. There we go. All right, so 13,000 equals x. It's just a little bit different than some of the ones you would have seen so far. Right? There's a small twist to that. So, Carly, I would also like to get to page 126 in Prism Math for you. So let me zoom out a touch so we can see it in the corner. So this is the one that we're going to deal with next. And I'm going to look at questions 2, 4, and 7. Okay. Those are fine ones. Skip on to the next. Whoa! Ah! I'm falling off the page. I'm ending up out in the piece of paper. What's going on? Whoa! All right, so this is for the Math Blue again. Prism Math is Prism Math Blue, isn't it? This is going to be page, what is this, 126? And this is question number 2. Okay. So an order is for 1,000 parts. After 350 parts are made, what percent of the order has been made? Orders for 1,000. Well, to find one thing as a percent of another, all we've got to do is divide, right? So all we're doing here now is finding out what percent of the order has been made. So it's just 350 divided by 1,000, right? So it's the same as 35 out of 100, which is the same as 35%, right? I mean, I know that sounds, this is super easy, right? Why do I even bother to go over that one? Well, it's a really fundamental piece of math operation that plenty of courses are going to expect you to already know. This one doesn't. This one does teach it to you, but later on you'll see this a whole bunch where you have to say, find out what percent, one thing as a percent of another, basically. So all we have to do then is take the two numbers and divide. Right? I wanted to do numbers 4 and numbers 7 as well. So number 4 then, can we see that over on the side? Yes, we can. Look at that, right up above me. Right up, oh no, my pen's disappearing. Oh no, nope. Okay, can't reach. I can't reach it. Let's see if I can reach it. See if I can make myself bigger and reach it. Hold on. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's question number 4. Question number 4 right there. There we go. Yeah. All right. Let me shrink back down a little. Okay, there we go. That's good. That's good, Twitch chat. So, let's see. Number 4, 48 parking spaces in a parking lot. The lot is 62.5% filled. How many spaces are filled? Right? This one's a bit trickier because it says there are 48 spaces and it is 25% filled. So what we're saying is some number is 62.5% of 48. Right? We don't know what that number is right now. We know that there's 48 spaces in total, and we know that it's 62.5% full right now. So we can just go ahead and multiply. X is going to be, let's go back over to here, 62.5 out of 100. I'll just do that on here, and times that by 48. Now I could have simplified it more, but I'm just showing you here now that there's plenty of different ways to go about doing these questions. Right? And that is So we'll say 30 spaces are filled. Right? That's all there is to it. Good stuff. Now we'll pop over to, let's say, question 7, I think was the last one I wanted to go over. And then, Carly, that'll be all the ones I wanted to discuss for yours. So I can move on then. I think Renetta has some out of Prism Math Blue to get to as well. And again, Stephen from Kenmount, if you're in chat there, if you're watching, just let me know, and then I'll get to your questions as well. But either way, I'll get to them before we're done here. So, Kent has 75 papers to sell, or had. He sold 45. What percent of the total number of papers has he sold? Percent of the total number of papers, he has sold blank percent. Okay. So, we're saying 45 out of 75 is blank percent, basically, right? So the way that we've done it in this course, we would say 45 is blank percent of 75, right? So 45 is unknown percent of 75, right? Because is that, unknown is the x, percent is this bit, of is the multiply, and 75 is, of course, a 75. So now we can go ahead and solve these ones. So again, Carly, the ways that you were solving these were totally fine. I didn't see any like mistakes in the method. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to call this 45 equals 75 over 100x. They're like that. I'm just going to show you that you can go ahead and simplify these down. So this is going to be 3x over 4. Right? Then I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by 4. So we're going to have 45 times 4 is going to be 180. I know that one because of angles. 180 equals 3x. So 180 over 3 equals x. Or I'll just put an arrow up because I'm running out of space on my page. So that's going to be 60 equals x. Right? So we know that Kent has sold 60% of his papers. There we go. All right, good stuff. That is, yeah, that's the Prism Math Blue stuff I wanted to get to for Carly. So if you're watching in the future, hope that's useful for you while you're studying. Whoa, I'm sliding out. Okay. Oh, what just happened? Just got chilly in here all of a sudden. What's going on? All right, so next up then, Renetta, I'm going to get to some of your questions now. Let me see here. That was Prism Math Blue as well. So I'm going to keep on going with the Prism Math Blues. Switch over here. Okay, good. So I wanted to try 204 1A. So this is going to be page 204. Boy. Now, hold on a second. I got to, I have got to change this guy a little bit. Okay. Maybe that'll be a little bit more legible. But I gotta tweak this This life cam, boy, I gotta tell you, it'll leave something to be desired. But you know, we'll deal with what we got. So, page 204, and this is going to be number one. We're going to do number 1A. Number one says Cliffview High School football team scored the following number of points in each of their games this season: 21, 17, blah blah blah. What's the mean number of points for the football team scored this season? Okay, so yeah, I'll just go down through all of question one here. So for the mean number, we just take all of them and add them together, right? Because the mean we know is the sum of the numbers divided by the number of numbers. Right? And we know that our mean has got to be, it's going to be somewhere in the middle of the numbers, right? It's not always going to be the best representation of the middle, but if we get a number as a result that is outside of the group of numbers, we know that we were off a bit, right? But here then, to find the mean, we're going to have to go ahead and add all these numbers together. I'm going to write them out in order right now, just so it'll be useful for me when I'm doing the next question as well. So 7 plus 10 plus, what have we got? 17 plus 19 plus 21 plus another 21. Next jumps all the way to 27 plus 31 plus 35 plus 42, right? Because those are all the numbers that we have. And it's going to be all of those then divided by how many numbers we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? Just got to make sure that I have the same number of numbers as my sheet over here. I wouldn't want to be steering you guys wrong. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, good to go. So the mean is going to be all those added together and divided by 10. 7 plus 10 plus 17 plus 19 . It's going to be 230 divided by 10, which is going to equal 23. So we know then that the mean there is 23. Another one that I wanted to get onto for doing this question would be sort of the B part here, which is the median. Is the middle number in order, right? So to find which number is the median, we can use n plus 1 over 2, where n is the number of numbers. My cadence is a bit, it's a little bit weird, the cadence of like writing something and reading it at the same time. It's a bit strange. Anyway, so now we know we've got 10 numbers, so it's going to be 10 plus 1 over 2, which is going to be 11 over 2, which is going to be 5.5. So again, right, if we get a 0.5, we have to divide two of them. So here now we're going to be taking the fifth number, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth number, and the sixth number, and dividing them. Wait, hold on though. It's going to be 21 plus 21 over 2, which is going to be 42 over 2, which is just going to be 21, right? It is going to be just the same, because even though we have an even number of numbers here, the two middle numbers, both of them, are the same value. They're 21, right? But it is important to know what we do when we have an odd number of numbers as well, not an even number. So when we have an odd number of numbers, we're actually not going to end up dividing two numbers by each other at all, right? So let me just show you how that goes down by doing number 2b. So in number 2B, Elena is going to buy a DVD player. She went to several different stores and wrote down the prices of 7 different DVD players. Yeah, 7's an odd number. All right, the prices are 96, 79, 79. Okay, so we've got our numbers in order first. So we have a 79, another 79. We have an 86. We have a 91, a 96, a 108, and a 133. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so that's 7 numbers. So I know I've got them all copied down here. So now I'm going to go ahead and figure out which of these is actually going to be the median. Well, from a glance, we can probably see that it's 91 because it's the one that's right in the middle. But, you know, again, imagine that there were too many numbers here to see this more evenly. I'm going to go ahead and do the n plus 1 over 2, which is going to be 7 plus 1 over 2, which is going to be 8 over 2, which is going to be 4. So I'm going to say if there's an odd number of numbers, the median is the exact middle number. In order. Right? So in this case, Renetta, one thing that you didn't need to take anything here and divide. Because I think I'm not sure if it was this one or if it was just some other random one that you did, but there was an odd number and you accidentally took like these two and divided them together. But the reason here you wouldn't is because you notice we just have a 4 here, we don't have a 0.5, and because we don't have a 0.5, we just take the exact middle one, which is just going to be 91. This one above here, because it had 5.5, that's why we had this 21 circled in green and this one circled in green. Because 5.5 means it's the 5.5th number, which is the number that's in between numbers 5 and number 6. Down here, though, we were just told to do number 4, right? So it's not in between anything. Okay, Renetta. I also have a question for you on here, page 209. Excuse me. I can take a little sip of my coffee. We got coffee today, not tea. So let's see here. It's a bit tough to see zoomed out that far, so let me zoom in a little. Let me zoom in a little bit more. And a bit more. More. Little less. Little less. There we go. Good. Good stuff. Okay. So I wanted to handle questions 3 through 6 down here. So let me just move this guy again. Here we go. Without looking, you pick marbles from the 2 bowls shown at the right. Well, we can't see them right this second, but that's fine. Complete the sample space to show the outcomes. Then use a table to answer each question. The probability in simplest form. So if we were to scroll over to see the bowls, we would see that these are they. Right? We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 in blue. We've got A and B there in the white bowl. So what that means that we've got when we zoom back over, right? So over here, we can now see how this makes sense, right? We've got A and B out of the white bowl. So these are all going to be A's across the top. These are all going to be B's across here, as we see. And the blue bowl is either 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's the numbers going down vertically. So in this column, we've got all 1s. In this column, 2s, 3s, and 4s. Right? So how many outcomes are there? Well, since there's 4 options in bowl 1, 2 options in bowl 2, we know there's got to be 8. Right? So let me Prism Math Blue again. This is going to be page 209. Question 3. Well, how many outcomes are there? Well, we know there's 8, right? Because there's 4 one way and 2 another. So it's going to be 4 times 2 equals 8 outcomes. Okay. Question 4 then. What is the probability of drawing a 2 and an A? Now, this is the ones like this are the reasons that I wanted to cover these, right? Sometimes when people think, well, what's the probability of drawing a 2 and an A? They think, well, the probability of drawing a 2, well, there's 2 of those on the sheet. Probability of drawing an A, well, there's 4 of those on the sheet. But the thing is, that's not really what we mean when we're talking about 2 and an A in probability. In probability, when we say 2 and A, it means both of them at the same time. Right? It's actually 1 out of 8. Probability of drawing a 2 and an A is 1 out of 8 because there's only one option that gets us there, right? It's just this one right here. Okay, what is the probability of drawing a B and an even number? So then for 5, B and even, that's going to be 2B and 4B. So 2 out of 8 or 1 out of 4. Right? Because here now it's asking for the probability of drawing a B and an even number. So there are 2 instances that fit that result out of our 8 total. So therefore it's going to be 2 out of 8. What's the probability of drawing any number and a B? Any number and a B, well, that's just the probability of drawing a B. Now I already know that since the number, there's always going to be a letter, right? The letters are either going to be A or B. So we should know from the start that it's going to be 50% chance. But I can go through and I can, we can even do it the long way. We can say B in any number. Well, 1B, that works. 2B, that works. 3B, of course, and 4B. All those guys work. So that's going to be 4 out of 8 or 1 out of 2. Okay, tearing through them. We're tearing through these today. Anybody got any questions for me in chat? Please don't hesitate to ask while I'm going through. If you ask them on stream, I might get to them the same day, depending on how fast we get through the rest of these. If you ask on email, I will get to them the next stream. Okay, so what is the probability of rolling a 1 and a 3? So here we have what's called a sample space. Now this is page 210. This is a really good page as an example because this sample space notion is something you're going to see a lot. Right? This is going to come up again quite a few times. And a sample space is basically a diagram that represents all the possible outcomes for a given situation. Right? So here now, probability of rolling a 1 and a 3. Well, you notice on here they have different colors, right? If we see over here, a 1 and a 3 is going to be, it's a blue 1 and a black 3. If they didn't specify colors, a 1 and a 3 could be this one here and this one here, right? So there would be 2 options, this guy and this guy. But here, they're not letting you do either 1 or either 3. They're specifically saying blue 1, black 3. So blue 1, black 3 is just this one here. And it's going to be 1 out of our 36 total. Right, so then for question 2, what is the probability of rolling 4s on both number cubes? Well, which numbers out of this set have 4s on both? Well, it's just that guy right there, 4 and 4. So again, it's going to be 1 out of 36. Number 3, what is the probability of rolling 4-5 or 5-4? Ah, okay. Well, now this is kind of like what I was getting at in question 1, right? So 4, 5, 4 comma 5 is right here. There's one of those. 5 comma 4 is right here. There's one of those. right? Just those two. So that's going to be 2 out of 36, which equals 1 out of 18. Okay? And these types of questions with sample space, especially the sample space of rolling 2 six-sided dice, super common. You'll see that come up quite a lot. Question 4, then what is the probability of rolling 2 numbers that total 10? Ah, this is a good one. How many of these values total 10 here? Let's see. This one, 4 and 6, that makes 10. This one, 5 and 5, that makes 10. This one, 6 and 4, that makes 10. Hang on, look, they're all diagonal. Isn't that crazy? Look, all this diagonal, that all equals 10. This diagonal here, what do those equal? Well, those are all 9. This diagonal here is all 8. This diagonal here is all 7. So it's one thing that you'll notice in a sample space. I dropped my pen. The sample space there, I dropped it on the snow. I gotta pick it up out of the snow here. It's all wet and it's not quite working right now. It's really too bad. It's too bad, Twitch chat. My pen's ruined. It fell in the snow at the cabin. You can see it. You can see there, right? There's a lot of snow down. So for question 4, the probability of rolling 2 number cubes a total 10. Well, that's going to be 3 out of 36 because we found there were 3 out of the 36 in total. That's going to reduce down to 1 out of 12. I'm just going to carry on and do, let's see, let's do question 5 and 6, sure. So question 5 then. Question 5 is telling us what's the probability of rolling 2 number cubes that total 20? Total 20. Well, let's see here. The highest total that we're getting, what is the highest total? The highest total that we're going to get is 6, 6, which is 12, right? There's no way to get any more than 12 on 2 six-sided dice, right? So, of course, this is 0. 0 out of 36 or just plain old 0. And the last one is also trying to be tricksy because the last one says probability of rolling 2 number cubes a total less than 13. Well, how many of these are less than 13? Well, again, right? This is less than 13, these ones are less than 13, and these, and these, and these, and these, and these, and these. So all of them are less than 13. So it's going to be 36 out of 36 or 1. The probability is 1. There we go. There we go. So Renetta, that is, those are some of the topics that I thought were worth mentioning off the stuff that you submitted. Hope that was useful to you. Now next, let's see. Next, I will go on to, let's see, Ashley has got a few questions here. So let's see, worksheet 3.1, let's bounce on over there. So math 31, sorry, not 31, 1102A, here we go. Matt 1102, hey. And that's, let's see. Which ones are we looking at? Okay. I'm going to do one of question, or maybe I'll do 2. Maybe we'll do 2 of question 2 here. So let's scroll down a little. Here we go. So complete the following conversions. Okay. So this is math 1102A. And this is going to be worksheet 3.1 to 3.3. Okay? So then question 2A says 2.5 feet squared equals blank inches squared. Okay? Now, it's really super 100% incredibly, like, terribly important that you use the conversion factors for area, because the conversion factors for area are not the same as conversion factors for length. All right? And I've shown this a few times recently, but I'm just going to go down through it again just to make sure that we're on the same page for this one. But remember now, a foot, 1 foot, like this, if this is a mark that is just 1 foot long, what is that in inches? Well, a 1 foot line in inches is going to be 12 inches, right? Okay, we know that. But now, imagine we had instead a square. Right? And say this square was 1 foot by 1 foot. What's the area of that square? Well, the area is equal to length times width. The area is equal to 1 times 1. The area is equal to 1 foot squared. Right? We can see that. You can see that that's fairly straightforward. Right? That if you have an area that's 1 foot by 1 foot, that's the same as 1 square foot, because that's what it means. A square foot, or a foot with a 2 in the corner, means an amount of space that is 1 foot in 2 dimensions. 1 foot long, 1 foot wide. So over here now, this is 1 foot long, which is 12 inches. It's 1 foot wide, which is 12 inches. So the area is equal to length times width. The area is equal to 12 times 12. The area is equal to 144 inches squared. Okay? Now, actually, this is on your formula sheet as well. So on the formula sheet you're given, you don't have to go through and derive this or anything like that. I'm just showing you why, if you're dealing with squares, there actually isn't 12 square inches in a square foot. There's 144. There's 144 because it's 12 this way and 12 that way, right? So if we want to do 2.5 feet squared is equal to some number of inches squared, right? So there's so say we could do this a whole bunch of ways, but let's say there's going to be 1 foot squared per every 144 inches squared, means 2.5 feet squared over some number of inches squared. Right? This is the way that one of the ways I showed you how to do this, and I think this is one of the ways that you sort of gravitated toward. But now we're going to cross multiply. Right? We're going to end up with 1 times x on the left and 2.5 times 144 on the right. So we're going to end up with x is equal to, I probably could do 2.5 times 144 in my head, but I'm not going to mess with that one. 360. Maybe I should have messed with it. Should have known that one. X is equal to 360 square inches. Right? So you're not going to be multiplying it by 12. You're actually going to be multiplying it by 144. And it's the same sort of deal for 2c as well. 2c here, like we're asked to find out, well, 103.5 square feet equals some number of square yards. Right? Now there's 2 different formulas that you're going to be given. You're going to be given one yard. Sorry, I'll start off with yards. We'll give them 1 yard equals 3 feet. But also on your formula sheet, you'll see 1 yard squared equals 9 feet squared. And you have to make sure that you're using the conversion factor that has the squared in the corner. So this one here, 1 yard equals 3 feet. This is not the one you're going to use. You're going to use this one. And we know that because it has the 2 here. Right? The 2 actually makes it into a totally different unit. It's not length anymore. Now it's area. Right? So we actually have to multiply by 9 to get how many yards squared it is. Right? Because there's 1 yard squared per every 9 feet squared. And here we've got some number of square yards per 103.5 square feet. You don't necessarily have to do your math like this, again, right? But you seemed comfortable with this method, so we're going to keep using that. So once we cross multiply, you're going to end up with 103.5 times 1 on the left equals 9 times x on the right. So now I've got to divide because I got to get x by itself, you'll recall. So we'll actually have 103.5 over 9 equals x. Oh, I'm in the wrong window on my calculator. 103.5 over 9 is equal to 11.5. 11.5 yards squared equals x. Okay, I'm not going to go through and do B and D for you. I'll let you tackle those ones again on your own. But these are super practical, pretty common types of questions that you'll see regularly. Okay, so this is going to be, next up I'm going to do question 4. You gotta zoom out a little. Zoom out a little more. Okay. Derek wants to seed his front yard with grass. His yard measures approximately 45 feet by 66 feet. Instructions on a bag of grass seed indicate that it'll cover 75 square yards. How many bags of grass seed does Derek need? Okay. So for this question then, question 4, we've got a few steps that we have to do first. So this is very similar to the question 2 that we were just discussing. But he's got an area for his yard. The area for his yard is, see, 45 by 66 feet. So this is 45 feet. This is 66 feet here. Now we can go ahead and multiply and get a number of feet squared. There's several different ways we can do this, but if we went ahead and multiplied this, so our area is going to be 45 times 66. So then our area is going to be 2970 feet squared. But now we have to remember that we're using our conversion factors for area, just like we said last time, right? So there's 1 yard squared per every 9 feet squared, right? So this is our conversion factor here. So just to show you a different way, a slightly different way of doing it, but one that we have seen several times already, is to take this conversion factor and just multiply it by that, right? So this is how we're thinking of canceling the units. We'll have 2970 feet squared times 1 yard squared per 9 feet squared. We're going to end up with feet squared canceling with feet squared. And we're going to have 2970 over 9 yards squared, which is going to be 330. 330 square yards. So, if he has 330, we need to divide by 75 to find out how many bags he's going to need. So 330 divided by 75 is going to be, it's going to be a bit over 4. 4.4. So then, because this is a word problem, we write out our answer in words, and we will say Derek needs 5 bags of seed. Okay? So let me see what I'm going to go on to next. Okay, I'll do one more of these area ones, and then I'm going to go on to do some these regular area, then I'm going to go on to do some compound area ones as well. Okay, so this is going to be question 7. And I'm going to do question 7. We're going to find, we're going to do A and then we're going to do C. I'll leave out B. So for A then, we know that the area of a circle is equal to pi times radius squared. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people mess up between the area of a circle and the circumference of a circle. But they're different formulas and they mean different things, right? Area is the amount of space something takes up. Perimeter, or circumference, is the distance around it. It's very important that you use the area formula to get the area of a circle, right? If you use the circumference formula, you're just not going to get the right answer. And the thing is, this 2 in the corner is a squared. This is not a multiply by 2. If it was a multiply by 2, then both of them, then the area and the circumference would be the same, right? So that's one way to remember that they're not. So what we're going to have here now is the area of this circle, because we're looking at for question part A, we're looking at the white button in the center of the house, right? This is a curling analogy. So the area of the white button in the center is going to be pi times radius squared, which is going to be pi times 0.5 squared. It's 0.5 because we know the diameter equals 1, radius equals 2 times the radius equals the diameter. So r equals 1 over 2, right? So I'll just put that over here in a little bubble. But we needed that to then go ahead and put it into here. We'll have 0.5 squared, which will be 0.25. So we'll have 0.25 pi. And I did see actually what you were doing for some of the other questions where you were leaving it in terms of pi for a bit longer, which is really a great practice. I think it's a good thing to get used to, right? So that wasn't the problem with the other ones you were doing. The problem with the other ones you were doing that I mentioned off of 3.4 was that you weren't squaring it. You were actually, so here, right, we had to times 0.5 by itself. So let me show you what I'm doing. 0.5 squared. Squared is that one, see? And 0.5 squared comes out to 0.25. Well, why is that? It's because it's 0.5 multiplied by 0.5, right? Squared means the number is multiplied by itself. Go ahead and hit enter. There we go. So we know that we have 0.5 pi, 0.5 pies. It's going to be, oh, sorry, a quarter of a pi. That's not even enough for a meal, hardly. Quarter of a pie? Come on. Like, you know, Fabulous Foods gets you get the half pie with chips. Half pie with chips. That's a good plate. So 0.79. I'll call that 0.79 feet squared. Feet were my units. Okay. Then, like I said, the next one I'm going to pop over to. I'm going to do 7C. I'll skip B. 7C asks me to calculate the area of the red ring. Well, area is still going to be pi times radius squared, right? So red ring, diameter equals, let's see, the red ring says over on this corner there, diameter equals 4, right? R equals 4 over 2, R equals 2. So the radius of the red ring is going to be 2. So then, the area total is going to be pi times 2 squared, which will be 2 times 2 is 4, so it's going to be 4 pi. This is the only time when it is times 2, because 2 is the number. It's going to be 4 pi, which is going to be 12.57, right? But now, to find area of the red ring, we need to subtract area of the, I'll use blue, of the white button, which was part A. Because remember back here in part A, we found the area of the white button. Now the white button, if we go over and look, the white button is that bit right in the center. See where my hand is, my cursor? Right there. The white button is right in the center. Well, we want to find this red ring. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a formula that we can plug in to just get the area of like a washer type shape. But what we'll do is we'll find the area of the outside of if this red ring was a full circle, and then we'll subtract this little dot that's in the middle. So the area of the ring is going to be this 12.57, subtract the 0.79 from above. So 12.57 minus 0.79, going to end up with 11.78. 11.78 square feet. Okay? So the most important thing about these questions is that you stick with, the formula that you need, right? Either the area or the perimeter one, depending on which one that we're looking for. And in this case, we are looking for the area, so we need to be using pi r squared. Right? And part of that is getting used to reading your formula sheet. Now, for this next part, let's see. I want to scroll on down to question well, questions 12 and question 15 I would like to do, but I think I will do, see, I'll do one of the ones in question 15 first. Here we go. So in question 15, then, we have figures, and we want to find the area of those. Let me zoom on in. I can probably zoom in a little more. There we go. That's good. That's good. Now we're not told that one over there. Okay, so this is good. Math 1102A. This is going to be worksheet 3.1 again. How are we doing for dropping frames there? Good. Looks like we're sailing along. It's good stuff. Okay, so this is now question 15. I'll do question 15A. So actually, I have done quite a few examples like this. So I'm hopefully, once you see this example, could you please email me or contact me some way and let me know which part of these ones you're finding confusing. If you look back through the videos that I have linked you over the past several days of streaming, I mean, not real days because we were off for a week. But if you look back over those, I have done examples like this and linked them to you for the past few days of class, right? So please, when you see this, let me know which part of this you're finding confusing. Because one thing that we don't do is we do not add these numbers together. We don't do that. We do not, because that is the perimeter and not the area. It's extremely important to remember the difference between perimeter and area. Perimeter is the distance around the outside. Area is the space the shape takes up. Okay? To find the area of a compound shape, split the shape into simpler shapes. I'm using the word shape an awful lot here. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to split this guy. I'm going to split it down here with green, and I'm going to color this part in with the green area, and I'm going to color this one here in with red. Right? So we're going to say area green is going to equal length times width, because it's a rectangle, which is going to be 2 times what? Right? We can see that it is indeed 2 across here. But then what is it across here? How can we tell? Well, this part here is 6, and this part here is 9. So we know that this plus this has got to equal the same as that. So 9 minus 6 lets us know that this has to be 3 feet here. Right, so we know that this green area is going to be 6 square feet. The red area, then, is going to be all this bit out here. Right? We know this is 3, and we know this is 2, so this whole side has got to be 5 feet. Right? So we know that across the top of the shape is going to be 6. Down the side is going to be 5. So that's going to be 30 feet squared. So then area total, the total area is just going to be those ones added together. 6 plus 30, area total is 36 feet squared. Right? Because we're looking for area. We're looking for the space that the shape takes up. Right? Then I'm going to go down and I'm going to do question 17a as well. Question 17a is right here. Okay, so again, these are just some examples of how to do this type. I'm not going through and doing every single question off the sheet, but this one here should be a good example to show you how to tackle these. So this is going to be 17a here like this. And that one is a shape that has a rectangle bit. With a semicircle bit attached to it. Now, imagine this was drawn a little bit more accurately. My freehand drawing is not, it's not great, but we're coming a long way. That's what I'm saying. We've come a long way, Twitch chat, in our freehand diagram drawing abilities over these past 15 days, and we've got a lot further to go yet. So across here now, well, actually, let's before I get ahead of myself, let's go ahead and color these. This one here into red. This one here into green. Right? So now, the area of the red, well, the red area is just a rectangle, right? So rectangles are easy. Rectangles are just length times width. So that's going to be 14 times 20, which is going to be 280 centimeters squared. Right? Easy. Good stuff. So now, what's the area of the green going to be? Well, this is a semicircle. How do we find out what a semicircle is? Well, we know it's going to be the area of a circle. We know from over here that area circle equals pi r squared. We know that one. So area of half circle is going to equal half pi r squared. It just makes sense, right? Because though we might not know off the top of our head, like although say our formula sheet might not list it, it might not explicitly say, hey, the area of a semicircle is a half pi r squared. We know that this is half of a circle. And how do we write half in math? Well, it's 1 over 2, or 0.5. What's of? Of is multiply, right? So we know that half of a circle is half multiplied by the area of a circle. So now down here for a green, we know it's going to be 1 over 2 pi r squared, like that. And what is the r? Well, we know that r is equal to a half times the diameter. And here, what's the diameter of this green shape? Well, the diameter is going to be the length across here, which is going to be the same as the length across here, right? So radius is equal to a half times 14, or radius is equal to 7. Another useful aside for us over here. So now, the area is going to be equal to a half times pi times 7 squared. So it's equal to a half times pi times 49. And again, okay, so actually this is the same sort of thing that was out of your worksheet 3.4 that I mentioned as well. When you're squaring a number, let me just put this over here, 7 squared equals 7 times 7. Right? Because the exponent 2 means there's 2 of the number multiplied together. Right? So here now, we're going to have half of 49 is 24.5. 24.5 times pi. 24.5 pi is 76.97. You don't always have to round to 2 decimal places, but I usually do 2 decimal places by default because that's what people are used to seeing, say, with money. It's most common, right? But then their area total over here now for 17A. The area total is going to be the 280 from this part plus the 76.97 from this part. That's just going to be 356.97 cm squared. There we go. There we go. Some good stuff there. So, Ashley, I think that should pretty much cover the questions that I thought I needed to point out for you there. I'll be sending you, again, some more detailed breakdown of the mark in that course, in that unit, rather, or that activity. Boy, I'm really fumbling these words here. And now, okay. Yeah, it's really unfortunate to not have heard from Stephen yet because he left me with a question to do for him before Easter, and yeah, I have no way to know now if he's actually going to be hearing this or not, which is really unfortunate. But generally, yeah, I mean, generally, if you ask a question to be, for the next one, I would appreciate sort of a heads up for if you're going to be seeing it or not, right? Because if someone's live and able to engage with me, it's different than if you're, you know, watching it after the fact. Anyway, this is math. What is this? It's math at work 10, and it's going to be page 297. And Stephen was asking about question 7 here. Okay. Let me just switch up my picture. Oh, there we go. Yeah, switch back. Okay, so for question 7 then, what we have is some small villages can be accessed by plane easily. And there it shows the distances between those. So let me just go ahead and use my handy dandy triangle stencil. There, like so. So we've got village number 1, village number 2, and village number 3. And it's 18 km here. It is 42 kms here. And then we don't know, that's x there. We don't know how many. So estimate the distance of the flight from village 1 to village 2. Okay, so we know it's got to be greater than 42. So the estimate parts aren't super important, really. Like, all we're really looking for when you're doing the estimate part is some evidence that you understand that because this is the hypotenuse of the triangle, that it has to be the longest side. We know it's the hypotenuse because the way it's drawn, um, actually we really should have been told that that was a right angle there if they wanted us to use Pythagorean theorem, but they clearly do because it's the unit on Pythagorean theorem. Anyway, because that's a right angle there, we know that the side of a triangle that's opposite the right angle is always the largest side of the triangle. Because it's largest, we know it's going to be more than 42. I'll just say, I'll estimate 60 kilometers. There's very few ways for your estimate to be wrong. If I said 600,000, your teacher's probably going to be, if you said that, the teacher might be like, that's a bit at the lunch, you know. But as long as it's bigger than 42 and like a little bit bigger, not like 42.1, but if it's a little bit bigger than 42, you should be totally fine for the estimate. The real meat of this question is part B, right? So if your part A answer was off, don't be too worried about that one. But for part B, we're going to calculate it. We're going to determine the distance of the flight from, let me see, I've scrolled off a bit too far there. We can't really see that. Let me zoom out. Distance of the flight from village 1 to village 3. Round your answer to the nearest kilometer. Okay. So village 1 to village 3 is this distance over here that is x. Now we have to use what we call the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where c is always the hypotenuse. Right? It's useful for finding unknown lengths in a right triangle, but we have to be careful that c is the one that's by itself, and that c is the hypotenuse. Right? So here now, we know that x is the hypotenuse because it's the side that's opposite the right angle. So here now, we'll have 42 kilometers for A, I'll call that 42 squared, plus 18 squared, that'll be B, and that's going to equal x squared over here, some number of kilometers squared. Okay, so I'm just going to go through and I'm going to figure these out. Actually, if you're still watching, this again is a good example of what you had to do for some of those ones in worksheet 3.4. Because remember, if we have 42 squared, right, we see that's 1764. Because 42 squared is the same as 42 multiplied by 42. Right? So that's going to be 1764. It's going to be plus, right? We'll have 18 squared, which again to show you, right, is the same as 18 times 18. It's going to be 324 equals x squared. So we add those together now. And we get 2088. So 2088 equals x squared. Now there's one last thing we had to do to find the actual answer here. We've got to get rid of this 2 in the corner. How do we do that? Well, what we do is take the square root. So the square root of 2088 is that symbol. And that's going to be the same as the square root of x squared, but say the square root of x squared equals x. I'm going to put this over here in a little bubble. So I'm going to have the square root of x squared just there like that, just to show you. But back over on this guy. So we're going to be taking the square root on my calculator. On my calculator, it's this button right here. So let me show you. Let me show you up close. This one right here. Now, what you'll be using will be different depending on what calculator you have. But for me, I go second function and then this button, and you'll see it comes up with this check mark looking thing. And that is your square root sign. Square root of 2088, 45.7. So 45.7 equals x. So my estimate was quite a bit off, but on a test or on an assignment, you're not going to get marked wrong for an estimate of 60 here because it's totally within the realm of possibility because it shows that you understand that your estimate is going to need to be longer than either of your given sides. But then when you go down here to part B and you calculate it, here now we're going to expect this number, right? So then, Stephen, I hope that answered your question well. Please do let me know if you have any other questions or anything else that that I can help you with. But for now, then, yeah, I've reached the end. We had quite a few topics to get through today. Thanks for sticking out with me there, Twitch chat, and thanks for coming back to see the math stream again after our brief hiatus for the Easter break. We'll be back doing this. Be here every day, every day from here on out until till the end of social distancing. Let me tell you. Yeah, glad to be here yammering on for you and hanging out in front of this gorgeous sunset at the cabin. Yeah, please send me email if you have any other questions that you would like me to get to, and I will get to them on the next day. All right? So thanks very much, and have a great rest of your day. And yeah, stay safe out there, people.